Hello, everybody. We are super glad to meet you on this Digital Dispatches event. I'm Anna Boali, and I will moderate. I'm honored to moderate this evening, this discussion that was organized by IOGINALITY in the partnership with Todo Space, which became the part of the Art Dubai VIP program, and I thank here the whole team for that. I am moderator, but today actually we won't build our discussion around my questions. We will focus and we will reflect on the letters from the strangers. There are gallerists, collectors, leaders of non-profit communities, and what unites all those art professionals, art people, is of course some pain. Of course, some passion for art, but the pain. We are here, we aim to give them voice and to embrace the subjects, the problems, the challenges of entering Web3, of working with NFT, with digital art now, when the hype has faded. But we're here together in this era when we should consider blockchain to be the space for responsibility, institutionalization, and here we are. This will be the format, and today just 1 hour. It's so brief and short time to discuss everything, but I guess we will continue with this format because we got some really deep and long stories, and you can join. Actually sending us some of your adventures in Web3. And I guess, and we can think about it as of some kind of group psychotherapy, which would be nice because actually the whole subject of this art Dubai is healing and kind of different kinds of healing. So we've chosen these lights and this space and these people to feel you more safe in this new era. So now let me introduce our speakers. Auronda. Scalera is actually a wonderful curator, but she asked me to present them together with our friend Alfredo. Actually, that's a curatorial duo who not just gave us this amazing Art Dubai experience, Art Dubai digital experience, this 2 days already, 3 days, but actually they create a lot of like influential projects, and the Infinite Museum, which exists in Metaverse, and for example, an amazingly influential and inspirational project, the community, the XX NFT. And it came with no surprise that you were chosen as the 20 most influential women by the New York Journal. And we are anticipating the Central Art Pavilion, Digital Art Pavilion at Venice Biennale. I hope we will be there. Good luck with it. Alfredo is the curator and the leader of the whole international assembly of contemporary art curators, and he advises UK government collection and British Council digital strategies committee. That works. And besides that, Alfredo also curates international projects, Venice Biennale Manifesta, and I guess that the metaphor of the expanding universe that you've chosen for this Dubai digital section fits really well to your own influence. Then we have Catherine Smirnova. She is the CEO and the creative mind behind the IOGINALITY platform, the platform tailored especially for the art professionals. And her expertise won't just drawn from this platform experience, but also her work with the global big tech companies. And I know that you have a pretty impressive credits from MIT Sloan and Wharton Business School, but I've been told that you also have a degree in psychotherapy.
Yes, this is true. I hope it will be beneficial for us today, okay?
And Steven, Steven just opened his Bitforms gallery, which you can see here, this digital section in 2001, I guess. And with his invisible hand, he led us through this turbulent 21st century of new medias, new technologies. And, well, among his artists, he represents, there are plenty amazing artists who are now commissioned in international museums, MoMA, and big brands. We just discussed it. So I would be glad at this point to start with the letters. And first voice for you, Auronda.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's work. Thank you for this invitation. And I can start reading this first letter. So we are starting this psychoanalysis session. So, first letter. I'm a digital art curator and gallery founder with a background in traditional art auctions. My experience in the NFT market has reshaped my understanding of art valuation. Experimenting with digital art and NFT, I have realized that there are no clear benchmark for setting and predicting the price of digital art pieces. Also, the price seems to depend on speculative trends. Additionally, I have noticed that in the world of NFTs, collectors tend to stick to some big, dominating platform and are reluctant to try new ones. This does raise some concern, first about the asymmetry of digital art market, favoring a few powerful players, and secondly, about the future of transparent digital art pricing that takes into account the value of artists. Thank you for the attention, and I wish you an enriching experience during Art Buy.
Thank you.
So,
your first reflection. Yeah, I really love that it's all the pricing and the stuff. It ended with the account the value of the artist. I really appreciate this, that like artist centered. So, what do you think of this asymmetry towards big brands, or this like maybe not that defined price for maybe you could have for the offline analog artwork when it's presented at the platform?
Yeah, then this is a new market. Even digital art is a long story, but NFT market and blockchain art is a new market, it's few years. And what is wrong is exactly how it starts with a sales of 60 million. That is unreal. And then the artists that are in the space, some of them are really good. But an artist cannot be connected at the market. Then, like curator, we try to find like a really interesting artist, and we try to we try to promote them, even if in the market their prices are not 60 million. I mean, with Maria Caballeros, or with Florencia Brook, and so on and so on.
I think there is an asymmetry in the way that, let's say, the legacy arts market, it always kind of started progressively low, and it progressively went up in terms of, if we're talking about prices. With the digital expansion of it just started very, very high because of the hype of the NFT in 2021, and we have actually digital artists praising their works to some prices which is unimaginable for an emergent artist in the sort of a legacy art form. So I think that's the asymmetry. And when we work with artists, actually here in Dubai as well, we had questions about how to position the price of the artist. And I said, listen, it's your artwork or your artist. I mean, you don't want to dictate it, but just be cautious. Start from relatively low, because you cannot just, start high and then go back, because it doesn't make any sense. You will just upset your collectors. So just increase progressively, just take the long view and not just try to do the big boom.
Yeah, because some artists, they think that they can make money quickly, and then sometimes they want to set up the price really high, but this is going to bore themselves in a couple of years.
Yeah, this is with the self-publishing on platforms. That was the idea, that someone should keep in mind the whole strategy for it. Yeah, and about the platform, it was told here that is it me? Sorry, who does it? Here I felt a concern of okay, you have a strategy, but when you enter a big platform, you may act differently. If you start with some independent or non-profit or any other platform or community, it gives some other pricing policy. So this is the concern of the perspectives of decentralization, actually. And actually wanted also to ask you, Catherine, because you've been researching on platforms and the big players and all these big market issues, not just in art segment, which is important because we're not here in this empty space.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And I believe that the author raises truly important issues. There are two of them, about pricing strategy and the influence of marketplaces on the price. And let me start with the pricing strategy. Actually, I completely agree that the main problem is that the market is new. You don't have benchmarks. And this is not a unique situation for the digital art market. It's completely normal for every single digital market where you represent completely new item. In real sector, we can count costs. We can calculate how much we spend on production. It's not applicable, almost in every single real sector market. But it's not applicable in digital market. And it's becoming tricky. And I would say, it's also a big challenge from psychological and philosophical point of view. Guys, first time in humanity's history, we're faced with a problem okay, I'm ready to pay for something which doesn't exist in the real world. First time in our history we're faced with this. We use verbs to own and to possess in relation to completely ephemeral items, digital assets. You never heard before something like, I don't know, can you see those pixels on the wall? Those are mine. Never before. And it's challenging to charge the price, and it's challenging to set the price. And I would say the answer is subjective evaluation. And here we have a problem again, as I understood, because, yes, you heard it right. Subjective. And this is I mean, from the certain point of view, it's completely economically reasonable, because if you don't have like marginal costs approach, you can estimate the price objectively. This is how it works, for example, in any luxury market. Because if you buy, I don't know, a bag from a luxury brand, you pay much more rather than just a price of piece of fabric. This is what we call in economic like subjective evaluation. So it makes sense that it's challenging and we need to be ready for this. And it also makes sense that artists, they want to evaluate their pieces higher than the market. It's completely normal. So this is how the market works. And the second question about platforms and marketplaces. Yeah, just to be sure, we are on the same page here. Marketplaces are digital platforms, and we are surrounded by digital platforms in every aspect of our life. Like Apple Store is a digital platform. You want to order some food, you use digital platform. You want to order taxi, you use digital platform. And again, it's not the unique situation for the art market that, you know, digital platforms influence the price of the artwork. It happens in every market. For example, if you search something on the internet, you use Google, and the market of internet search is dominated by Google. It's the same with Uber, etc. And you know, in all those cases, marketplaces influence the price.
Same. We don't. I don't think we want Google here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We don't know the.
I use Google. But
Not to offend anyone. Okay.
so any other ideas?
I mean, there is an other side of this problem, and this is a unique situation for the digital art market. The digital art market is still very young, and you can create, I mean, all of us, we can create more clear, more transparent, more competitive, and more diverse landscape of this market. How can we do this? When you enter the market with your new precious NFT collection, just choose like small but reliable platforms. Do it. I know it's scary, trust me, but do you remember like Spotify many years ago? Everyone told them, guys, you must be crazy. How can you compete with Sony Records? I don't know.
Pirate Bay.
Yeah. Or Pirate Bay. And today, just let me. What kind of app you use? So yeah.
I remember Pirate Bay. They were pretty cool, actually.
We miss them.
But I mean, this is how market is becoming mature, actually. Yeah, we get rid of Pirate Bay, I mean, as a big problem of the market. But also, we do not belong to the giants any longer, like recording studios. So yeah, really, the digital art market is in the unique position now. You can create this competitive landscape, just learn by mistakes made in different markets.
Oh, maybe we have this opportunity to learn from other, like older markets, not to
Definitely, because digital markets exist under same rules.
Yeah, that's optimistic. Yeah, we have some research on platform economy already to use that. Okay, so do you want to? Maybe we can go to the next one, because we came to, I guess, an important point of the market in general, from the point of view of the buyer who uses the platform or any other way to get to the artist's work online. And the second letter we have from the collector. We think about them and we think about you. There are some collectors here.
Actually, Anna, can I point one thing actually about the
Yes,
pricing
yes.
of the art? Because I think we tend to forget, you know, we're talking about the intangibility of a brand. Like, you know, digital is ephemeral, the intangibility of a brand is ephemeral. It's not about how much it costs to make a shoe, it's about, you know, the Balenciaga, the Nike or whatever Pharrell Williams brand. But we tend to forget that when we're talking about an artwork, that artwork has validity because it builds that validation through space and time. Is about what the artist says, and if what he say or she says is a valid statement that is recognized by a community of peers first, and then it expands to a further community. So it's not that the validation of an artwork, it just comes up immediately because, I don't know, the work is cool. Yes, it's a building consensus through space and time, through generation, if we look at, ancient art. So it's a long game, really. So that's why the price sense is important to, kind of have in mind that you're not just there to kind of create something that immediately goes viral. Yes, it can go viral and then it can be forgotten in 6 months. So sorry, it was just an addition. So, okay, second letter. Oh no, I got the difficult one. I was firstly deeply interested in art when I became a LACMA patron right after I moved to LA. 15 years ago, so 2010, 10, I started building my digital art collection, and when NFTs appeared, I collected a few impressive pieces, but I have now some concern. The majority of my digital art collection exists out of the blockchain, and I'm curious to know if digital art will exist beyond NFT, or if NFT now, is NFT now an immanent part of digital art? And if that is the case, should I transfer my entire collection to blockchain? And a more general question, should I develop my collection of NFTs, or was I just swept off my feet by another temporary fashion trend? It's a pleasure to meet virtually with respective panelists, sending a friendly hello to Steven Sachs, whose past art prediction I recall fondly. I'm eager to hear your current insight. Okay, I think that in terms of the NFT, if digital will exist beyond NFT, yes, for sure. I mean, I think NFT is part of the, digital, ecosystem, let's say, of art and advanced technology. Is a mechanism. It's a certificate. So for sure, actually, digital art exists beyond NFT. NFT is one of the components. If this collector should transfer the entire collection to blockchain, we believe blockchain is a technology here to stay. It's not just about art, it's about services, about how we will sort of create some sort of infrastructure for society at large. And being that, the authenticity, provenance, the kind of a real estate or utilities. I think it's a technology that it's extremely innovative, and it will help shape the society of the future. So I think, I really think
it's like a certificate that if you want to track the history of your artwork, maybe yes.
So
but it's only for that reason, not because...
There's no harm actually to attach an NFT to your artwork. It could be a painting. It could be an old master painting for that matter. You could actually attach an NFT to that, and that's fine. I think the question here is more about how the ecology of change will thrive and adapt or disappear.
Because for example, if your piece of art in real life, the value is X, and the value of your NFT attached to that artwork is another one, how you can manage this issue.
It's also the presence of multiple chains that obviously are decentralized, but you might have the same artwork minted on different chains, for instance.
Okay.
Steven.
Yes, I know you have something to tell.
I can see your kind of
I need to know who this is, because they probably bought art from me if they were buying work 15 years ago. So definitely not transfer your entire art collection, because I don't even know what that means. Most works can't even exist on the blockchain, at least that I've been selling for years. I think there's a possibility, the potential of maybe if an artist was okay with it, to have a certification on the blockchain outside, because basically I've been selling works, screen-based and generative and file-based works since 2001, and of course we use very traditional methods, just paper
A
certificate.
certification from the artist, right?
So, yeah, exactly. So that was just connected to the history of how the art world was working. And most of the works, like I said, that this person may have acquired, whether they're physical or even pure digital, most likely couldn't exist on chain anyway. So it comes down to this, which I don't know, again, it's an education thing about how much people know, but there's a difference between a work on chain and a certification on chain that goes to a work of art that is off chain. So I think it would be unusual to go backwards and have an artist want to certify something. So yeah, the answer would definitely be, I don't suggest that. I think it would be unusual to do that. But yeah, and like I said, for me, an NFT, for us, it's been interesting because a lot of my collectors, and maybe this is one of them, even today, they're not interested in an NFT, even though it is something that may be a better way to certify provenance and the connection to a work, again, whether it's physical or pure digital. They're interested in the work, they're interested in the experience, they're interested in art. So again, I've started much earlier, so I have a connection to people who weren't exposed to this new ecosystem and community. So yeah, most of my collectors that have existed prior to NFTs don't want an NFT. They don't even understand it, because they just like the work for what it is. They want to live with it. They want to experience it, just like art should be. And it's a bigger conversation, which I could talk about for a while, which is how NFTs changed the market in a negative and a positive way. So, but I'll see if we have time to talk about that.
I understood that, maybe I misunderstood, but it was talking about transferring the certificate of authenticity to NFT, not.
I guess the philosophical question was are there any, is there a consensus between us, I guess, between the expert community of the future and development of NFT collection, especially if you have some pieces outside of blockchain, and how to develop it actually, and should it become the main place of representation, because the collection is something that represents you. When you start doing it online, you should develop your identity there.
At the end of the day, it's about art and what art tells you. I mean, if it is associated with an NFT or on a chain or off chain, it's relatively personal, I would say. I mean, someone who maybe is a big believer in the blockchain system, so it kind of they can develop that sort of a direction. Someone else actually might just collect digital art without bothering actually to have the collection on an NFT. I don't know, on a blockchain. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very personal, and ultimately there's no right or wrong decision, I would say. I mean, what they do NFT can do, there's the kind of the dynamic NFT, for instance, is an interesting. We work on an artist who just premiered recently a dynamic NFT series, Stefan Bruggemann, and that's an interesting thing, and it comes from contemporary world. He's a very established artist, and he said, listen, I embrace the NFT because it allows me to realize work in a format that I would never be able to do it with sculpture, painting, or installation, which was changing the work every 8 hours based on certain criteria that it was sourcing live. from I don't know, news reading, newsletters, or film title release, or whatever. And that's an interesting thing, because for him it was like figuring out a way to produce work that he would never have done it otherwise.
So you speak now as a curator and as kind of like collector, when like you see that that's the best way to connect with the artist, that's the best way for him to express himself. And I wanted to ask you, Steven, about your experience as a collector and as a gallerist that entered Web3 actually, like, and made some had some anticipations on this market. So what is your now relations with it? If your collectors don't work with this form, did you try to expand your collector's circle, or how is it?
Yeah.
Because you're familiar with it, you work with it, and like.
You know, we had to address it very quickly. I mean, it was quite shocking. Especially this $70 million sale from an artist that wasn't really known to the contemporary art world. That was the wake-up call, really, for the art world. And yeah, it became challenging for us because we have historical artists. Manfred Moore, who's 86 years old, was doing generative art way before people were mentioning the word generative, which is now quite popular. So it was both stressful, it was frustrating, but also I thought that my marketplace was actually quite small. I mean, I've survived for a long time because we were very focused, but the market was quite small. So what this did was expand it exponentially. Now the problem was, of course, that expansion wasn't all like, it wasn't that it wasn't organic, it was more like they weren't art people, they were hedging, it was a financial model in the beginning. And it was only working for artists who were comfortable in that world, which was connecting to these communities online through Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and others, which, my artists didn't care about. No interest in that. They want to make art, and they didn't feel like that was something they needed to do to move their career forward. So what happened, which was again shocking and challenging for some of my artists, was that these unknown artists became incredibly successful financially because they were good at that. They were really good at reaching this new community who was looking at this new marketplace. So I actually hired a consultant to keep the gallery at a high level of knowledge because it was moving so fast. And I spent a big part of my life in this field, and this was a very aggressive, shocking moment. So yeah, it was interesting. Some of the artists, Jonathan Monahan's here. I mean, we let some of them kind of do their thing and see how it would work for them. But of course, I need to pay bills. I need to have a lot of expenses. We're representing the artist on many levels. And there was this moment where the artist can say, oh, well, we're going to just do everything on our own and connect to the collectors. But clearly that didn't happen. But there was a minute where it was starting to happen. So certain artists were independent, but some artists we tried to guide and help them through the process because we did believe it could be a bigger market for them. But it comes down to, I mean, this is, again, a larger discussion of what an NFT is and how it's utilized in the art world. And the early success was based on these platforms that really allowed for independence for the artist. And but the problem is they threw out most of what art is, which is, the experience and no restrictions, no constraints, where the marketplaces were quite constrained, and it was a financial model very early on. And that's a very, in my opinion, a destructive place for a creative process. So I I think it's settled down now, and there's some incredible platforms and experiments happening that are much more thoughtful and sensitive to art creation versus this financial model, which was, to me, very concerning early on.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, it's like, thank you, leading us to the next letter, which is actually focused on this expectations point, expectations of art community, expectations of Web3 community, and well.
Okay,
please.
this is my letter. Okay.
Yes, keep the
I may
floor.
have answered my letter already, but okay.
Yeah, we can continue this topic.
Okay. In early 2020, we anticipated the future synergy between collectors, culture, and NFTs. That's why we began building our immersive NFT gallery in London. After a few events, we quickly began to feel the curiosity of the traditional art world, but instead of a smooth cooperation, we witnessed the collision of two completely different worlds. Yes, I agree.
Yes, we had it.
It seemed the Web3 community wanted to hype all projects into sky-high numbers, even if it is a pixel ape aesthetic. It was initially very hard to watch Web3 audiences contend with our collective discourse on digital artworks, especially because, did I write this letter?
I know who he is.
The community is still grappling with compressing art pieces into GIFs, losing precious pixels, even though GIFs are bestsellers on the blockchain. So my question is how we can ensure smooth cooperation and mutual satisfaction between Web3 and art realms. It's an honor and an intrigue to see where all of us in the room will sail our future industry to and what that will look like, hopefully very greedy and decentralized. Wow, okay. Well, I obviously can relate to some of these concerns. And I mentioned them briefly, that the traditional collectors were not really interested in NFTs. They were interested in interesting new media artworks that impacted their lives, which is what art is. So it was a very different economy, a different ecosystem, a different community that even to this day is still clashing a little bit. I think, being here at an art fair with contemporary art is something that is a positive, and hopefully there are folks that are coming through that have never ever purchased anything digital or media art based, and they're learning and hopefully will understand how to collect it and embrace that. But yeah, it's a very different community. When I go to these parties and events, they don't even know who I am.
Oh, no, no way.
Impossible.
It's shocking, I know, but it's true. Except when I mention Rafiq Anadol, and then oh yeah, okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, it is. It's a different culture. They believe in different things. Their definition of art is very different. But as I said earlier, there's, but not just for my gallery, but the art world in general, I think it's still expanded interest in this new creative distribution, right? So there is a positive, but the amount of education needed is essential. And I do it often, and I'm pretty, aggressive at it because it's people like Manfred Moore, who are 86 years old, need to be remembered as someone who is working on a computer as big as this room doing generative art. And, thank you for Manfred, okay. And he is completely frightened of NFTs. Manfred Moore, who would do incredibly well in the marketplace, he just doesn't feel comfortable in that world. And I understand why. It's because presentation, control of that experience is essential for him. And that could be lost when you start to mint works and deliver them online without that control. It doesn't mean that other side of it isn't relevant, but it's a different perspective on how you deliver and kind of define your art practice.
Well, thank you. From your
Can
perspective,
I get? Sorry.
take mine.
No, don't.
Sharing economy.
Sharing, yes. If I can build on what you say, Stephen, we experience working as a curatorial duo that very, very often we get approached by artists, other curators, their agents, their galleries, we are in the digital realm, interested to bridge this sort of scholarship, let's say, into the contemporary art world. And I think I'm using the word bridge on purpose because I do think there's still two words, as you say, that are slightly converging, but for a very few people. For the majority, still working on parallel tracks. But what is missing is this sort of a bridge. And I think the bridge is mainly, I think there is a lack of curatorial scholarship. And from both sides, and we experience it in first person. You know, you do have curators working with digital artists who, you know, have no idea how museum acquisition policy works, or have no idea how to, you know, not even the preoccupation to the sort of legacy of the artwork, if it is collected, what happens in 50, 100 years time. And you do have actually the institutional world, very, very few museums in the world, they have an in-house curator with some sort of an insight in the digital ecosystem, who don't even touch the whole thing of NFT because they don't know how to deal with that. They don't have the infrastructure, they don't know, most of the time they can't even open a digital wallet because it has to be entrusted by the board of the trustees, and you know, these very, very practical sort of a solution that are not there. And so I think that that space is precisely a space for curators to occupy and build and create the trust from both sides in order to bring closer, or let's narrow it.
Yeah, because in general, I think that the curator of the future, they have to have like knowledge about not only about history of art, but economy, mathematics,
Financial
AI,
transaction, the whole
financial
thing. I mean,
transaction.
it's
It's a large range of knowledge
which
that
is
we have
completely
to acquire.
outside of the scope of any
Yeah.
curatorial MA, BA you can think
Yeah.
of. That's not simply there, and that needs to be built.
Yes, yes, and that's interesting how from this self-publishing model of when artist just enters the whole world and presents his art to like everybody who can like turn on the smartphone, we come back to the intermediaries and the scholarship and the system and the institution that enters back. And that's very sensitive question of new professional gaps that we should fulfill with new professionals. Actually, Steve, you've mentioned this unclear unclear future of the artworks that enters just some sort of internet, and for artists it's also a very sensitive thing. And if he's not alone he's with curator, gallerist, or for example, the platform is answering him. It's not just the interface that has some kind of support button there somewhere, so he can enter faster. For me, it's still the question: who do Web3 community need? Because being the curator from the art side, I really that's a challenging. Even the language is quite different. And actually, the fourth letter that we have is from non-profit sector and from the person who is the intermediary of the offline and, well, actually has some concerns of how to prolong and extend his support of the artist online. So, Ekaterina, please read us it. Let's moment.
Thank you. Dear participants, I am delighted to imagine you now in the immersive space in Dubai. I am the director of a young, upcoming cultural space that represents North African artists, among others. We are open to new formats of work and experiment with fully operational co-working spaces and online sales. However, as someone who always seeks out what's new, I still find in myself hesitating when it comes to the idea of anonymous NFT collectors. The anonymity of blockchain doesn't allow us to safeguard the artist's rights or even the integrity of their work. So, my question to the panelists is, what reassurances can I offer to the artists who have invested countless nights into their work, and how do I safeguard both their interests and my reputation? I believe that the esteemed panel members can share their experiences on what seat belts anchor them, ensuring rights in the ephemeral crypto future. Well, yeah.
Ephemeral crypto future is the last words of our letters today, like the 3 words. Please. I guess there are like 3 times that rights appear here. The word itself, so you're as an expert in digital rights and really one of the visionaries that I've got to work with because I'm learning all the time. So what is going on with rights, actually?
Okay. I believe, rights and anonymity, there are main questions here. And as for anonymity, I have to admit that I completely share fears and doubts of the author because actually it's very counterintuitive to deal with an anonymous person. And when it comes to the art market, I believe it also can be the sign of the shady dealing, okay, I don't know with whom I deal. And we see completely different picture when it comes to blockchain because anonymity is a huge thing here as well, but with a completely different meaning. It's like a symbol of unlimited freedom. And it's challenging to reconcile those differences. But to my experience, blockchain market, like everything else in the world, is changing and it's getting more and more mature, and they start to believe in true transparency, not like total transparency, which relies on transparency of transaction in blockchain. They understand that people want to know with whom they deal, and they address this request from the market. They do it for different reasons. Some do it because of strict regulation, new rules, new laws, but others understand that people really need the certain level of clarity. Like, for example, in IOGINALITY, we invented and introduced the KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer, from the very beginning, from our first day. You wouldn't believe it how many times we heard something. Guys, you must be crazy. You just ruin all the main rules of blockchain. But as we can see, every single collector want to know from whom he or she buys the precious piece of art. And they want to be sure that this is a verified gallery, and not just a fake account. And vice versa, galleries and artists, especially recognized, they want to know to whom they sell. It's normal. And this is how the market works. This is how the market is changing right now. Like more KYC tools we can see. And as for the rights, IP rights, this is a great question. Okay, I don't know why, but as I can see, the art market believes that blockchain resolves all those problems with IP rights. Surprise, surprise, no, it doesn't, no. And I mean, it resolves a lot of problems with authorship and authenticity, like Stephen already mentioned. And this is why, coming back to the previous question, I don't like this like opposition, NFT or digital art. There is no conflict. NFT is a convenient package for digital art, that is it. And this is convenient package which helps with the authenticity and authorship again. But yeah, IP rights mean a lot because you want to know for sure what amount of rights you acquire together with an artwork. For example, I buy a digital piece and may use it an avatar on Instagram, or may I display it at Burj Al Arab, or may I use it for commercial purposes? And all those questions are still unanswered. For example, in Originality, we developed, like 3 types of licenses, from minimum package to maximum package, and our buyers know for sure what amount of rights they acquire, and gallerists, know for sure what to expect, how this piece of art will be used or utilized or displayed in the future. And the more, it's very logical to understand this from the very beginning, because the more IP rights you transfer, the higher price. That's normal. So, to my experience, I would say that the market becomes more and more mature, and we can see it. But we reading those letters, we can see it for sure. Good questions, deeper understanding, and a knowledge of problems which exist. And in psychotherapy we say, when you realize the problem, you solve it for half. So yeah, we are on the right way, I would say, to the brighter future, I hope.
Thank you. Well, actually, yeah, to have drafts of the contracts and licenses online fully prepared for usage is the first step. But then person needs to need them, and the collector need to have this knowledge and this longing of knowledge, what is he buying. So this is also about, I guess, the scholarship, the education and enlightenment, and a lot of discussions, I guess.
We were just kind of thinking the same thing, that the anonymity question, I think you slowly will sort itself out, because we know collectors, kind of big collectors in digital art, who are thinking to establish their foundation or collection or this and that, and they don't want to use their anonymous name. They want to use their name and surname, because that's how their collection gets validated with collaboration with other institutions, etc., etc. And often we actually are asked by artists as well, who get approached by these other collectors. What do you think? Is it okay? Is it, good guy, back up, that kind of a thing. And I think it's legitimate, because it's all in all, it's a kind of a relatively small community, and it's still a very personal environment. Person, and that's how you build the trust and the rapport, and you build something together. So I think that anonymity, it was big with the decentralized movement, and now it's okay, maybe it's okay to be anonymous as a brand, but when it comes to the legacy, possibly I can use my real name, because then I have more validation from that.
Oh, that's the same way with the internet developing. That at the beginning it was trash, as I remember. That was small, but it was already
But actually, because now, for example, all the artists and all the collectors that at the beginning they were anonymous, now everyone knows they are. There is no more a real anonymity.
Yeah, nowadays everyone wants to be popular, no anonymity.
Yeah. Well, actually, we came to the question from the Fuel Arts, the community partner, and our own friends. And it comes to another player we still didn't discuss. We discussed it before. The panel started, actually the brands or the institution, and you've just mentioned the anonymity as a brand. It also works. And it also makes a huge maybe part of the whole market. So I will read this one question. So the question relates to the problem of the integration of NFTs into the strategies of brands. They, in their turn, are aiming to enhance their appeal to Gen Z. This may be the question also of the new collectors. However, in 2023, there was a significant shift in their requests, with a preference to omit Web3 and NFT terminology in favor of digital art, citing perceptions of greater sustainability. This pivot poses a challenge in communication and positioning. From your perspective, how should we navigate this narrative shift? Is there any new way to articulate the value and potential of NFTs to align with these evolving market perspectives? Or is it more prudent to bide our time and anticipate the market's next upturn? What storytelling strategies would you recommend now?
First of all, call digital art this movement is completely wrong from the point of view of art historian. But it's much more easy because it's pop and all the people understand what it is. Personally, with Alfredo, we call this movement it's like an umbrella under art and new technologies that is much more correct. And if you want to add something.
That shift from NFT, it's a big question, I think. When we talk to people and introduce, for instance, this or that work of artists or galleries or platform, we often use the term blockchain art, which is somehow describing the whole blockchain sort of association with the artwork, but it is not mentioning NFT because it has such a bad reputation. It's just because it has been, it's not that it's an evil thing, it has been so much stigmatized by the media, which is really, really difficult to get back to sort of what it is really. I mean, which is like, you know, kind of a certification is nothing else than that. You don't call a painter a canvas artist, so why should you call a digital artist an NFT artist? I mean, it's like, no, so, okay, you have different sections of digital art in terms of art and advanced technology. You have VR, AR, mixed reality, immersive, Gen AI, blockchain art, etc., etc. So that will be our advice, but I don't know, maybe you have other takes on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would never use the term NFT art. I mean, again, because it's art can be on the blockchain accompanied by an NFT. But I see these as very different marketplaces and strategies. You know, Art Blocks, which is enormously successful. I'm very friendly with the guys who started that. I think it's quite clever. But it's also the antithesis of a lot, as I was saying earlier, about how my artists work. I mean, it's almost more of a design platform for generative art because you're given parameters within the Art Blocks, you know, technical kind of specifications, and that then, to me, it kind of breaks the rule of art creation because you're giving some, and which is not bad. I'm just saying it's not really art in many cases because you're designing something to a specification, and that's great. They're doing incredibly well. I think their model is brilliant, but it's very different than my artists like Raphael Lozano-Emmer, who is using a computer that is quite massive and could never be on their system. He couldn't even write code. I mean, he could, but it wouldn't be something he would want to do because it would give him constraints, which is against how he works. So yeah, it's just tricky. I think there's two different ways of looking at it. If there are artists who like that and they're interested in that, that's great. I think the term NFT obviously was complicated because it was so overused, it was so exposed, and then the market crashed. And then, of course, brands are all about, you know, making money and reaching, you know, doing things that are current and relevant, and that took a hit, and it had a lot of negative press. So I think it's definitely going to exist. It will continue to exist, but again, for different reasons. Most of my artists, as I said, don't really need or use NFTs in their work. It's not part of their practice. But there is a section of new artists that emerged that are still using it. And I think saying, you definitely should not say you're an NFT artist, because that is a strange concept to me. You can create an artwork that has an NFT, or create an artwork that lives on the blockchain, but that's a more appropriate way of saying it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the perspective was from brands who were just maybe met digital art through NFT the first time, which we like thanks so much NFTs for that thing, for this like super fast entrance into so many doors. Yeah, but actually now they have to maybe face that there are some other forms and they're like different and like so diverse. So yeah, Catherine, you have something on that and
I just completely agree with Steven that we shouldn't name, something by the name of the package. And again, NFT is a package, come on. Would it be the main package? The most convenient? I believe yes. Somebody doesn't believe. It's normal. It's completely normal for the emerging market. And I believe we can see the deeper question behind just terminology here. Is NFT like trend or hype, and what's the difference? And this is really interesting because when we talk about hype, it's something like made because of marketing campaigns. And if we talk about trends, this is the deep response to the true needs of society. And if we can, discuss from this angle, the issue discussed from this angle, we can see that probably blockchain is a part, and its part NFT is an answer to the deepest request for decentralization, for more horizontal society. So let's just call digital art by its name, and then decide about the proper package. That's it.
Yeah, of course, as a believer, I guess there are some believers among us here. I really enjoy this concept of response. Like it wouldn't work like this if there wouldn't be any response, actually. And about this like feedback, response, and the question, I think, and I would be absolutely glad to continue this format. And I guess we will like leave open that open call landing because we still got some today. We got like the. Can we please also ask this point? But no, unfortunately, it's just an hour. And I always, as a moderator, suffer when I have like person I want to speak to like 5 hours, and I have this like just ridiculous hour. But it was amazing. I thank you so much, Auronda, Alfredo, Katerina, and Steven. And I think we will meet at maybe booth of Bitforms, maybe another. Yes, another venues of digital segment of Art Dubai. I thank you so much, and keep in touch, and let's check this trend maybe in a few months, in a year. We will see how does it work. Thank you so much for your time, for your interest. It was not easy to get here due to traffic and all this schedule. We thank you very much for your time. So, thank you.